Welcome back to this particular episode of Nick Lenz's movie review, episode 65B. I had to stop last video because I just had to use the bathroom. That's just usually I have to stop a lot of time lately because dinner was ready. That moment, I had to use the bathroom. I couldn't just hold it. Yeah, I couldn't hold it for a couple minutes. So, resume what I was talking about when it comes to first contact. Yep. So, they get onto the deflector dish. I should point out this is the first time in the Star Trek films they go 0G since motion picture. Actually, no. Yeah, first time they actually go into space and do a zero gravity. They go zero gravity. First time since the very first Star Trek film. Yes, they wore aviator suits in Wrath of Khan. Let's see. Yeah, they wore it in that film. They wore it in Undiscovered Country. But that was it. Those two films, one was on a plane, the other, of course, they were on a ship in disguise. But actually going 0G, this is the first one since the very first Star Trek film to do this. And they simply just walk straight there. Like, why don't we take a stroll? It's like, can't beam or take a shuttlecraft because apparently they're not accessible. It's like, okay. So, yeah. So, they just simply just walk there. And from looking at the distance, it looks like it take a long time to get there. And they see the Borg telling me some kind of thing on top of the deflector dish. And like Hawk's like, oh, we use full power. It's like, no, that would destroy the deflector dish and part of the ship as well. So let's just unclap the magnet locks. And of course, like Picard gets it basically no problem. Like hits the button, pops up, turns it, and of course some of the Borg react to figure out what the heck is going on. And like Picard just shoots one and flies away. Of course, one actually shot at the ground. Space like Worf's like, oh no, they adapted. Of course, he just slices this with this Borg drone with this weapon he just happened to keep on him because why the heck not? I mean, aside from a freaking, it's actually quite unique for Worf because he's the weapons officer. Okay, so have a freaking sword, a mini sword, stuck in your belt. Not a bad idea. Of course, he slices a Borg arm and slices right into the Borg body. Of course, the thing starts leaking. Of course, he uses a tube to wrap around. This particular Borg drone would also show up in Enterprise. I'm not kidding. This Borg drone and the other one pop up in Enterprise. In the episode, I think it was like Resimulation, I think it was. Yeah, it was in episode 20 of season 2 of the show that two Borg from this particular movie show up in that particular show. Yeah, this Borg drone was one of them. Yeah, and of course, Hawking gets briefly turned into a drone. And of course, he's like beating the crap up Picard. I'm like, why the heck would they summation for the suit? Why not just take off the suit and just do that way, whatever? And Warp shoots him. He goes off into space and never seen again. I mean, this is the guy from the future. He gets turned into a Borg and then he's shot into frickin' space. And then of course, Picard gets off the ground. Of course, he shoots the wire. And then Warp basically has his best line in the movie: assimilate this. Fires his gun, blowing up the thing, and Borgman's like, change of plans. And of course, it's still trying to fight, and even though it's like completely hopeless, they got like dicks 5 and 6. Now, the whole thing with deflector control, they actually got that when, like, when they got like deck 10. It's like the whole thing with deflect. That's what they got. They had the deflector control. Yep. So, like, they it's like really hopeless. Like, switch hand to hand if you have to. Like whole speech, and Lily calls all this bullcrap that try to give up with fighting. And of course, everybody just first they have Picard, Worf, and Beverly activate the self-destruct sequence, which by far this is the second time in the films they've actually activated the ship's self-destruct sequence. Though in the case this time, this one's actually aborted. Yes, this is actually aborted. Yeah, they do this again in Nemesis when they try to activate the self-destruct sequence, but nope. So yeah, they activate the self-destruct sequence. Very similar scene to that from Search for Spock, though when they got one they were performed this one they weren't. And yeah, the back what was left of the crew to the surface, and like Picard just goes down to engineering, punch thing, like okay, he just gave up, walking the thing. That's when he runs the Borg Queen, like you're on the ship, and it's like I fought you, whatever. Yeah. Of course, also implied in Voyager that the Borg Queen is bisexual. Yep. And of course, Data's like Data go, and of course, Data just unlocks the computer, shuts down some of the truck signals, and turns the weapons. This is of course when they. Now I should point out before I continue with this particular part, I should talk about the Phoenix. Like, it takes a little while to convince Zephyr to come over space, but of course, at one point, Jordy mentions the whole thing with him having a statue and runs off. This film also has the first and only film appearance of Reginald Barclay, who just happened to be on board. Yep. Which he was a recurring character from the show, and he would also show up on Voyager like a handful of times. And I did see him once outside of Star Trek, and that was in an episode of Stargate G1 involving basically the main team basically put in a virtual reality. This is a guy who suffered through addiction to the holodeck for a while. He basically stuttered a lot, and they got over that. And he was actually pretty good character. At one point, he was actually a genius. Though, one of his appearances did bring back... Later on, they brought back the thing that was controlling him. Later on, though they were controlling Riker at this time, not Barclay. Yeah, but of course, they find like a tube. Of course, he's a big fan of Zephyr Cock, wants to shake his hand. Of course, he does. It's like, thanks. Shakes his hands, like, okay, fine. And of course, they got on board. It's like, of course, he also gets briefly shot by Riker. Though he said it on stun, because he knows this guy's way too important to the timeline to kill off. This is how annoying he is. But yeah, he just shoots him in the shoulder and somehow just knocks him. And of course, they drag his butt right back to the ship. He's like, something hang over either that or you show up with your ray gun. He calls it a ray gun. And then, of course, they have with him in the cockpit. They have Riker and Geordi in the cockpit, which is interesting. Riker makes sense because he's the commanding officer. Why not? Geordi just to keep on the instruments. And of course, they had this funny scene of Deanna getting drunk. Yeah, Deanna getting drunk. Yeah, somehow she just magically finds Zephyr Cock while they were searching for him, and she gets drunk in a bar. And of course, when Riker finds her, it's like, he unplugs the. Like, he shuts off the music, and of course, he gets a bottle of beer through her. And of course, she's like, Will Riker meet Zephyr and Cochrane? Yeah, it's so funny. That the fact that she's having to find him, of course, they eventually tell him about the future. And, of course, they show him the Enterprise, and he's actually, like, he thinks that Riker, Troy, and LaForge are all lying to him until he sees the Enterprise. Here's a ship? Yep. Whole fleet. This is one of a whole fleet of them. That's the only one in orbit. Yep. And of course, more aliens come by. He's like, what? More bad guys? Nope. Good guys. Who want to service? They don't mention who they are until the end of the film. And it's quite a surprise. No one expects these guys to show up in a film. Much less a Next Generation film, mind you. They do show up frequently in Virgin Series films. Yeah, and of course, they launch off, and of course, they have a music. Why not have music for a launch sequence? Apparently, no one cares that there's a rocket launching off in their frickin' town. Okay. They get to space, and of course, they activate the warp drive. And also, they have the Corton torpedoes fired at the thing. Of course, they miss. And of course, Data, remember, like a plot point before, like, we had these cooling tanks held like organic components. Okay, fine. Yeah, and Picard also, do not hit the warp core. Whatever you do not hit the warp core. So he just walks to the thing after he misses on purpose, and he says, resistance is futile, and he smashes the cooling tank, and that thing just gases all over the place. And of course, Data doesn't get affected because he got partial organic parts. And of course, Picard's like climbing up via the Queen's tubes. No, not tubes from her body. Like tubes she brought them from the frickin' ceiling. He climbs up them, and she tries pulling him down, trying to stop him, and then Data basically pulls her by her legs. At one point, it almost looks like that Data grabs her rear end, drags her back down to the thing, and her body gets destroyed by this gas, this coolant tank gas. And apparently kills all the Borg. Borg go frickin' nuts, and Picard just hits the particular sequence, and After a while, the gas dissipates, and of course, everything goes back normal. And the thing was successful, and they see first contact, and they win this first contact, and it's with the Vulcans. And of course, like time to street exit, and of course they embark on their ship, and apparently they took the time to hide in the moon's gravitational field, like the Vulcans not attack us, and of course they go back to the future, and that leads into their encounters with the X-Men. Yep, where they end up in the 1990s of all things. Yeah. Yeah, then of course you have Zephyr Cochrane having drinks with them and of course dancing music in a bar. Yeah. This overall is a fantastic film. And I do highly recommend it. Now, in the case of what happens stuff between this film and Insurrection, well you have a comic that's set right after the events of this film, Star Trek Exploration and X-Men, Planet X. There's a few other novels that are set between this film and Insurrection. And that's it. But yeah, this, of course, is a fantastic film. I do highly recommend it. And it's a shame that this film only got nominated for one award and lost that award for Best Makeup. It should have been nominated for not only for Best Cinematography, Best Set Design, Best Director. Frankie's did a fantastic job with this damn film. And this was his first time in director's chair. Everybody did great in this film. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review. I have roughly 2 more videos coming to hopefully get a chance to do them today. One, of course, review of the 18th season of Case Closed. The other, of course, my review of Insurrection. I'm going to be ranting about this one of how really bad this film is, but I think how good visually it looks. Okay? But do see you next review. Bye.